All right, we are here with episode 1 of FDT. FDT. Shelly, what does FDT stand for?
Thank you for asking. FDT, the Fort Dodge TEA, Thoughtful Exchange About the Arts.
All right, so we have a name. What is the purpose of this podcast? Let me ask you that.
Okay. So this whole thing started about 6 weeks ago. I was sitting with Paul Bloomquist, Iowa Central Band Director, and also known as many other things in the community, having a beer at Shiny Top Brewing, and where most ideas come into fruition at Shiny Top. We had an epic idea. No, he was sharing with me some stories about the Carl King Band and about Jive for Five and about the 515 Big Band. And I consider myself, after about 8 years in the artsy community of Fort Dodge, I've lived here for 16, but as far as my role for the last, not that long, but I consider myself in the know about a lot of our organizations and a lot of the members of Fort Dodge Fine Arts. And after hearing him talk for a while, I'm like, oh my gosh, why don't I know these stories? Why don't other people know these stories in our community? And
Are they safe to share outside of Shiny Top? Let me ask you that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
All
the
right.
best ideas. Yes. So I thought, rather than reviving our third Thursdays, which we did prior to the pandemic, where we would gather once a month and kind of network and share what each other are doing, I just feel like the dynamic has changed a little bit, along with the high number of events that are going on in Fort Dodge, music and culture related. I don't know that people want one more thing to go to in some sense, like we have so many awesome opportunities to experience these things where people are networking anyway. Do we need to set up a time and official location for people to do that networking? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I can see where you're coming from, because Fort Dodge does not have a shortage of things to do and go to.
No.
You were actually on a podcast called Talk Fort Dodge and discussed exactly that.
Yes.
And how many things did we have a month going on? Was it like 60, 70, 80?
On
something
average,
like that?
there are 60 arts and culture events in Fort Dodge every single month.
Every month.
Yeah.
So we've got plenty of stuff to go to.
Yes.
But
So
people have to drive to these events so they can tune into this podcast and listen.
Exactly.
There
And
we go.
this provides not only Fort Dodge Fine Arts with content, with the community with content, with our members, the content, but just kind of a basic understanding of what are these groups and organizations and what's going on within them.
Yeah, exactly. So what are the groups and organizations we have here with us today that we are discussing?
We have some beautiful human beings here.
So true.
Over to our left. Next to me is Jason Laird.
Why don't you introduce yourself, Jason?
My name is Jason Laird. I am a member of the Fort Dodge Fine Arts. I have been involved in some stage door activities here in town over the past 6, 7, 8 years. The pandemic kind of threw some things off. A longtime Fort Dodge resident, born and raised here. Have always been involved in the arts, was gone for a little while, had kids. There's a lot of stuff to do in Fort Dodge, and people don't realize that. And that's why we're here tonight, to try to point that out. Yeah.
And Jason is also a board member of the Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association.
Thank you.
Oh, nice.
So that is
Okay.
his title for today.
Okay.
Sure.
Don't you also have a title at the Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association?
I do.
Okay.
I do, Peter.
And what is that title?
I am the executive director.
Oh, so
of
you're like
Fort
the
Dodge
boss.
Fine- Well, I don't.
Watch out.
She's not the boss. We tell her what to do, and then she
Do
does it.
you?
That's right. Yeah. Right. We tell her what to do, and then she does it. No.
Thanks for that promo, Jason.
But there are a ton of things to do in Fort Dodge. And just like you said, 2 things every night, every day of the month. If you want to find it, it is there. You might have to go a little ways, but it is there.
Yeah, I mean, I play live music, and I know for sure, like, if you just consider live music and only
Right.
live music,
Yeah.
we're talking almost one day a week, every single week.
Yes.
Always.
It's
so
there. Yep.
we add theater into that. You add arts functions into that. I can easily see where we're at 60.
For sure. And educational opportunities. I mean, it piles up. And that's the average.
Yeah,
So,
well.
yeah, it can be more than that for sure.
Oh, yeah, I can see winter months being a little slower, summer months being a little more. Mm-hmm. Oh, boy, summer months.
I can see it too, Peter.
Oh,
I
gosh.
can see it too.
I'm already ready for more summer months. No, I'm just kidding. It's hot in here, everybody.
It's good though.
You're working.
All right, let's move on down the couch.
Okay, so next to Jason is Amy Porter.
All right, Amy, how about you
Hello.
introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Amy Porter. I have been active in the arts in Fort Dodge since 1998 when I appeared in my first of 20 Comedia shows.
Wow.
I have been a board member of Comedia Musica Players since, I'm going to say 2009. And served as president for, I think, about 8 years. So I'm still on the board and very active in that. I've done shows with Stage Door, with Hawkeye, just have loved being a part of all of the arts in Fort Dodge. It's really a second family, I think, just within your own organization, but then you also meet others from the other organizations in town. So we're all connected in some way. We all know each other, I think, for the most part, and it's been a lot of fun.
Well, we all know each other and we all support each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's a fun dynamic. Buzz, behave.
That's
I'm agreeing with you. Thank you.
honestly, that's something I almost don't want to say it, but as much flack as Fort Dodge catches, the arts and music scene here is the most supportive in the entire state, bar none. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Trust me, I've done 4+ years of podcasting with musicians. This is the best. It doesn't get any better than this.
Yeah, it's true. And the Fort Dodge Fine Arts put out a survey several years ago where we were gathering information about where do you travel to, and from Fort Dodge, not even including our own community, but we are like a crossroads from being able to experience a million things around us between Des Moines and Ames and Minneapolis and Omaha and Kansas City. I mean, those are all day trips if you want to make them. But the fact that we have so many different and diverse opportunities in our community is amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's crazy there's not just one, there's 2 theater groups. There's 3 though, actually, isn't there?
Correct.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to move down the couch here and talk a little bit more?
Yes. Next to Amy is Buzz Powers.
I'm Buzz Powers. I've been active in theater since 1968. I did my first show with Comedia Musica in 1971. I played a juvenile. So it was kind of a long time ago. But then I've
You're
also
still kind of a juvenile. Sorry.
Some things
Played
never
a juvenile
change,
or
actually.
acted juvenile. That's 2 different things, Buzz.
I've been with Hawkeye for many, many years. I used to be on their board. I'm not on their board anymore. I used to be on Comedia's board. I'm not on that board anymore either. I just don't want to do things. So
Other than the stage.
just sit around and be a smartass. That's pretty much what is usually my job on any board.
You're doing a very good job here today.
Thank you. If you've done it as long as I have, you get good at anything.
Oh, I love it. So I guess like the one thing I'm thinking here, just fresh off the bat, there's 3 theater groups. Is that what you guys want to call them in
Yes.
town?
Yes.
How do you choose which one? Can you be on all of them? Can you just be on one? Do they have this thing where it's like, if you're on that team, you're not on this team, we'll support you, but you can't be over there? Or
There
like,
used to be kind of that feeling. The people who were in Hawkeye weren't in Comedia, and the people in Comedia weren't in Hawkeye. Yes, I know, but that changed over the years. I mean, people they go both they go both ways.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Which is pretty popular in theater people anyway.
Well, and one of the I think biggest points of discussion about the 3 different groups is that none of them are stepping on each other's toes.
Yeah.
Like each one has something new to offer. So Comedia has been around since what?
1968.
Yeah, 1968.
That's wild.
And their focus is one major production a year.
Okay.
So those can include, they always include adults and Occasionally, and actually probably half the time, students and the youth also.
Cool.
But not regularly.
All right.
Hawkeye is known to do 6 productions a year, and one of them, their Christmas
Usually
show,
the
is
Christmas show,
generally
yeah.
youth and music oriented, but the other 5 are strictly stage plays.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so when Stage Door came into fruition in 2013,
New kid on the block.
it
Look
is.
out.
It is. It was actually founded by my sister and I in 2013, and it was when my nieces and nephews were younger. And other than, their high school productions at St. Ed's and Fort Dodge Senior High, there is a Fort Dodge Public School middle school musical, but there was nothing other than those opportunities to have a children's theater.
Okay.
And so, I always say this scenario. What if you wanted to be a football player and you didn't throw football until your 9th grade year of school?
I don't know. You might not make the football team.
I mean, right? I mean, that's a lot of loss in time of being able to be comfortable on stage, gaining some independence, getting some confidence. So Stage Door was created to do a large scale full production of a student show in the summer.
All right.
So none of us are stepping on each other's toes. We all are promoting and supporting, and I guess it's kind of a rare thing to have that dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I know for a fact that like some towns will go as far as like not even go as far. They won't even coordinate this stuff in any capacity, and then you end up with like, well, we're both running shows on this 4th weekend in that month, and now people have to choose. When in all actuality, you shouldn't make your community choose one or the other.
Correct.
And I think that's probably one of the best parts about this. I remember that was something you and I have talked about years ago. That was like something you kind of wanted to help the town sort of coordinate with it. Fort Dodge Fine Arts was
For
kind of be
sure.
like, hey, I know you have this thing this night and they have this thing this night. If you go Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever, free for all. But
Yeah.
But if you got this place that's always known for Wednesday night music, maybe the other
Why
place,
compete with each other?
you might want to do Tuesday night music instead or something, So.
Yeah, and that was the whole basis behind our community calendar on the Fort Dodge Fine Arts website. We also put our calendar within the Growth Alliance as well, and just try to help kind of traffic that. Like, okay, we have a musician booked on Wednesday and Friday. If you're looking for someone on Thursday, that might not be the person
Yeah, exactly.
to book.
Exactly.
And it's the same thing with theater. Why would we compete with each other? So
Yeah, I mean, it's counterproductive. The only way it's like productive is like in a very grand economic scale when you have 2 companies competing against each other to drive profits.
Sure.
But that's not what this is,
No.
So
No.
it's not going to work out that way. And like Fort Dodge is a big town, but it's not really like a city,
Right.
I mean, what is it, 30,000 people here ish?
Maybe.
Not even that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going downhill, but you don't want to split them all up and say you have to choose.
Right, exactly.
Right, exactly.
I will say the thing that got me interested in Stage Door is they did their productions in the wintertime. If the weather's nice, I don't want to be in here. I don't want to be in here right now practicing.
like right now at this minute?
Right now, I don't want to be in here. But when the
That's why we
wintertime
didn't
hits
cast
and
you.
it's cold, that appealed to me. And my kids were getting older. Our last show was pre-pandemic, almost like 5 years ago.
It was,
which is
and that was
crazy.
something else Stage Door offered for a while too, were
Right.
these small cast musicals in the winter
Yep.
as well. Yeah.
And that appealed to me. But yeah, if you there's something all the time here in Fort Dodge. If it's not just someone individually playing at a local establishment, which there are tons of throughout the year, there are productions that range from the summer months to the fall to the spring to the winter, which is great. So there's always an opportunity to see something good, which is what we like to say.
Well, and
right?
not only being on stage, but I'd be curious to know from Amy and Buzz especially, we have the on-stage cast, we have the directors, we have the scene people, we have the lighting people and sound and tech. But what are the opportunities within your organizations for volunteers?
Ooh. Yeah.
Oh, you like that
Yeah,
one?
I do like that one.
I practiced that all day.
Volunteers are good.
Yeah, so I can speak to that. So first of all, there's our board of directors, and it's a large board. You know, at any time we could have 10 to 12 people on our board, and you know, we'll take anyone with a passion for the arts, whether they perform or not. And in fact, one of our board members right now has never done a show, and she's an incredible supporter of the arts. So we're very thrilled to have her with us. We always need help during the shows with publicity, with costumes, with marketing, with rehearsal things. You know, it's a never-ending task list. And yeah, if anybody wants to become involved, whether they're on the stage or behind it, we would love to add you to our family for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this what we're seeing back here is a backdrop. This is not a real wall built into the building. Somebody built this.
Yeah.
They might
Set
need
design.
volunteers and
Yep.
people helping out with some of the stuff.
We could always use volunteers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the hardest thing is to get people involved. You know, and then they say, how can they get involved? And we have like little forms out there. You can fill them out. You know, if you want to work, if you want to be an usher, if you want to help with set, if you want to help with whatever. We're very welcoming for help.
I didn't even think of like ushers and stuff because
Yeah. Well,
you're not just doing the show. You got to do the whole
Well,
thing.
it's everything.
Right. Well, and ticket takers.
Yeah, ticket takers, everything. You know, it's people running lights and the sound. You know, we are always looking for people for that because it's difficult to get people to do it.
And it's difficult to get new people.
Yes.
I mean, we have a great solid core of people that we can depend on show after show after show. But, you know, we need to make that list a little bit longer.
Yeah, can I speak to that?
I would love that.
Yes.
So we recently posted our cast list on Facebook, and there was a comment made on that post that absolutely broke my heart. Someone said that they had considered auditioning, but it's the same people every time.
Gross.
Yes, and it's like, no. And if she had come to auditions, she would have seen us fawn over the people that were brand new that walked in, because we're like, who are you? Welcome. You know, we were so excited to see a new face and hear a new voice. And if you look at my programs from, you know, even 5 years ago, you're not going to see anyone in that cast that's in this year's show. So it's constantly evolving. We constantly need new people to make this troupe thrive and sustain. And so if you're even considering joining a production, please do it. We absolutely will welcome you with open arms.
Yeah.
So is the best way to do that to come to a show and then take one of those cards, or is it to get a hold of you on Facebook or a website? Or
Anyway, and you know, talk to any member of the troupe. You know, any of the board members. They're all there. It's all the information is usually in the programs, and then there's always we used to. I'm not sure if we still do. I'm not on the board anymore, so a lot of this stuff I'm just making shit up. You know?
But you look pretty.
Thank you.
You sound like it makes sense.
But we'll welcome anyone. You know, we're always looking for more people. Whenever you cast a show, you're desperate for people. I mean, you go out and you have to find them. I mean, a lot of times. So if you want to do this stuff, this would be a great thing to do. And most of the people are pretty nice. Some aren't, you know, but most of the
They're
people
all
are pretty
nice.
Well, and another way to direct people is through Fort Dodge Fine Arts as well. So if you are interested in a particular group or in general, you know, we are happy to pass that information on.
yeah, or if
to
you
help
want more
everyone.
information,
Yes.
anything, Fort Dodge Fine Arts. It's a nice little stopping ground for everybody, you know, to kind of, it's in between all of the stuff and the people, you know, like if you want to know more, you can go here. There's a building for that too, as a matter of fact.
A couple.
Yeah. So
We have an auditorium and a building.
holy cow. Oh man. All right, so let's keep moving along here. What do we got on the next list of questions? So we got a little background and history of all these theaters, right?
I would like to hear a little bit, if possible, as far as background, a little bit of background about, you know, Stage Door doesn't. We're 11 years in. You know, we are newbies. We are just over toddlerhood.
Yeah. So true.
Although we have 100 kids in our show every summer. But as far as having the longevity of Comedia and Hawkeye, I think it would be fun, I don't know, to just hear a little bit about your experiences or stories.
I think we should start with Buzz because he's the oldest.
Okay.
I'm the oldest almost everywhere I go.
I know, that's true.
Well, like I said, I started out in the early 70s, like 1971. I was just out of high school. a poor boy raised in the fields. But it was over the years, and then I've done, I don't know, with Comedia, I probably have done close to 40 shows or something like that.
It's amazing.
At Hawkeye, I've done, I don't know, 20-some, 30, I have no idea. But it's always been, I've met so many good people. I think it's one of the most rewarding things. You know, I could never make a living being an actor or, you know, directing, but I can do it in a community, and it's pretty fun, you know. I would think that anyone who's interested in doing it, you can't play basketball or football your entire life, but you can do this kind of crap. You know,
Right?
How endearing to the craft.
Yeah, come join us.
but it's fun. I mean, it's fun. You know, you enjoy yourself. Mostly, it's just you laugh most of the time, you know, and get embarrassed and you do something stupid on stage, but I think it's a hobby worthwhile.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I could say the parallels between that and just playing live music. I'm not gonna go.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go tour the world playing live music. Probably.
No, but you
anytime
enjoy
soon.
doing it.
I have so much fun doing it. I wouldn't. I don't know what I would rather be doing. Honestly,
Theater
with
is
all
the
my
same
free
way.
time.
It's the exact same thing. We only do it because we love doing it.
Yeah.
And we're doing something. It's just like, you know, if you play guitar, if you play, you know, the piano, it's something most people can't do. In the same way, getting up on a stupid stage and making a fool of yourself in front of a large group of people.
So true.
Can you
Is
sell
very
it a little
difficult
bit?
to do.
Can
So
you sell it
true.
a little bit better?
Honestly, that is tougher than
It's almost impossible.
you're doing public speaking, and then you're also basically just being like a jester for the public.
You're just
you know?
you're just being funny for people's pleasure.
Yeah. Not always
And
easy.
it's a very difficult thing.
Yeah, it's. I can see where it'd be nerve wracking to even just get
it
up
makes
here.
you feel like you're going to throw up most of the time.
Would agree.
Jason, did you have any experiences where you almost threw up?
I will say title of show that we did.
Yes.
Amy.
Yes.
It was a 4-person show here at Hawkeye that nobody came to see, and it was really
Don't say
good.
that.
It was really
A few
good.
people saw it.
It was really good.
It was so good.
There were
Maybe it was the title.
maybe it was the
I think that
title.
was some of the promo.
That could have been it.
Like, oh, they can't even spend the money to insert the title.
and
People ask me, what's it called? It's called Title of Show.
I was in high school musicals here in town, born and raised here.
Oh, not the movies.
Not the
Okay.
movies.
Sorry.
And then I was gone for a while, and every year when we came back, we've been back 25 years. Larry Mitchell would send me a letter every year to come do this Comedia show. And I put it off, and then of course Shelly dragged me back in 10 or 12 years ago.
I'm freakishly strong.
She is freakishly strong, short but freakishly strong. Doing the cabarets at the Smelter House, I did a few of those, singing and having to memorize things, which is that is a craft, memorizing things. And I have a nephew who's playing here in town, and he puts everything on his phone. And I was like, oh, that would be easy to put everything on your phone. Evan Pratt. He plays around here a lot. But memorizing it's tough. And it's tough. It's a skill that you.
Fortunately, it gets a lot easier with age.
It does it really? I don't think so.
I disagree.
I absolutely made that up.
The year prior, title of show was 6 years ago, and you drug me back in doing Midlife Crisis, which was a little vignettes, which was kind of cool. But title of show was hard frickin' core. It was like monologues, and at the very beginning, it was a huge monologue, and I was sitting right here, and Nate Shelley was over there, and there was one night where I was like, I don't remember what I'm saying. I don't remember and it's the beginning of the show, and it's like pages of monologue, and somewhere in the middle of that, I thought about saying, but if you're in this show, you can just forget your lines and you can just keep going on.
Just keep talking.
But somehow, and Nate remembers everything. He knows everyone's lines
He's
on the whole
amazing.
stage. And Nate should be here sometime.
Yeah. He's the only
But
guy
I
that
made
could
it
fill in a
through
role.
it. And it was, then the show just went on. And it's a rush. It's crazy. There's people out there. You see people that you know. You invite people that you know. It's the community thing. It's fun. It's a great night out.
You also took your shirt off.
I did. I took my shirt off, which I think it was all bad. It was all bad. A lot of cuss words in that show too.
There were.
And you ate a week-old Hot Pocket, I believe, too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. In the drawer.
In a drawer.
In the drawer. It might have been this one.
This is a new one.
Okay, that might be new, but it's every time over the past few years. I don't know if you guys have had this. I have a nightmare that I'm in the middle of a stage and the spotlight is on me and people are looking at me and they're looking at me like it's my line and I don't know what's going on and I'm like, is it my line? It might be my line.
Just one of the greatest training things. If you don't know your line, you look at somebody else.
Okay, all right. See, I do not have as much experience, but I've been on stage. But that is a recurring nightmare that people will have. You're on stage and people are looking at you and you're like, it's your line and you have no idea what's going on. But no,
Same thing with live music.
It's the same.
Yeah.
Well, live music might be easier because you can just go on, but it's great. There are so many opportunities in town. People, if you say that you can't find anything to do in town, you're not looking very hard at all because it should be easy. Fort Dodge Fine Arts, that we put the things out there that are happening all the time, and there are so many opportunities. So
This was the background question, was it not?
Yeah, it is. And I want to make sure we hit Comedia too.
Yes. So, right. So, yeah, Comedia has a rich history. And it all started with this man right here, Larry Mitchell.
Yes.
You can't really say Comedia or think about Comedia without thinking about Larry Mitchell. Longtime choral director at Fort Dodge Senior High. He was approached in 1967 by Bob Ditzenberger out of Hawkeye Theater, actually, to perform a small cast musical in the old 4-H building. And so they performed The Fantastics. Huge success. He then partnered with Scott Griffith, an alumni, to form Scholar Productions, and then Comedia took off and was born. They did Paint Your Wagon in 1969, and started a huge tradition of basically a full-length Broadway show every year for the next 57 years. This is our 57th annual production.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So he retired after he did a 40th anniversary concert, of which I did participate. Like I said, I've been in 20 or so shows off and on since 1998, and just to keep a tradition like that alive for that many years really says something. And to keep it going is really rewarding for us and the board to know that this was started by Larry, continued on for 40 years. And how many times do you see it where somebody with this was his child. How many times do you see it where somebody stops being a part of it or retires from it and it completely disappears? So to say we're still going strong 17 years later is, I think, pretty amazing.
Especially when there's board members and volunteers involved that really have zero connection to him.
Yes.
But the story and the basis of.
Well, I think just her and I are probably the only two, and I'm not even that active in Comedia anymore. But I mean, we're probably the last two who worked with Larry years ago. And I've known him, like I said, 50 or some
I think
years.
we should talk about Larry. Larry is the
50-some years.
As the high school musical choral director. I think he started in
longest running program in the United States, I believe.
60,
64 maybe?
64.
Something like that.
And they have produced a spring musical since 1921.
Yeah, over 100 years.
Something like that. But they're close to their 100th musical, and he was a part of that every year.
Yeah.
That was my first experience with him of being in high school and being the choral director.
And what musical
Same.
was that?
What musical? I was
We were in one together.
Yeah, because you're just
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. I was the left spotlight. So when I first started, I was the left spotlight my freshman year because you
Did
couldn't
he
be a
just say the
freshman.
left spotlight?
I was the left spotlight
It was actually a
for.
flashlight.
That's really important, though. The left one.
Yeah.
That's by far the most important.
For the.
It's about balance.
You guys are so bad. The Hills Are Alive with the Sound of Music. I was the left spotlight. And then my sophomore year, we did The Boyfriend, which I don't think anybody knows. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
It was a flapper musical.
it's a great musical.
And it was like the Charleston and stuff like that. And then my junior year, we did the world premiere of a high school, Into the Woods, which was
Yes.
a big deal. And we, as students, had no idea how much of a big deal it was. We just knew that the music was weird.
Yeah.
And hard.
Very.
And I was the baker in that. We did Oklahoma my senior year, but working with Larry did everything. He was directing the pit. He was directing you on stage, and it doesn't work that way anymore. And that was my first experience with him of being in high school. But at that point in time, I think my senior year, he was 60, and he's 90 now, maybe a little older.
It's
and
probably 85, maybe.
No, I think he's older than that.
He looks great.
But Larry's
He
Does he's
Larry's
still
great.
driving around? He stops into the gallery and
Yeah.
talks to me all the time.
He does?
And
Like-
he was involved, and he got.
How did
And
you get
so
here?
the crazy thing is, I'm going to back up. His wife, Leslie, who is Leslie Reitz now, Leslie Mitchell. My first year of getting involved was 1983, and she was our
I was 4.
elementary
-4.
music teacher, and she said, "Hey, I think you should try out for The King and I because they need a whole bunch of kids, like tons of kids." And this was the high school musical here in town.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And she's like, the auditions are at Erie. Here's the thing. Look at this. And I was 10, and Leslie got me introduced to music. She did it, and then we tried out at Erie, and then I was the head prince, not just the regular kid, the head prince.
Sounds
So I had like
Insert
some,
buzz joke here.
yeah, I know. So and that was it,
I meant to say.
which was at Fair Oaks. We still did our productions at Fair. Or that was and I think they did them in the they did the musical productions for like 5 years in the gym
Yeah.
at the high school.
They did.
It's the gym at Cafetorium. That's what that building
Which was
has.
crazy, and then they started in the early 70s, maybe, doing them at Fair Oaks.
Yeah, Fair Oaks.
I think that's right.
They've been Fair Oaks for years.
Yeah, and so Fair Oaks was crazy, and then after that, I was interested in it, and then in high school, we were still at Fair Oaks.
Yeah. I did one at Fair Oaks, and then we moved to Iowa Central.
Yeah,
after that.
see, I was never at the Iowa Central one. Yeah,
We did 42nd Street and Carousel.
right, that was
at-
the next year.
Iowa
Yeah.
When they did the original Comedia was done out at Starlight, and it was dinner theater.
Yeah.
And they
Yes.
did that
Cool.
until like 1986, 87, right around then. And we did,
And then we talked about the barn, too.
yeah, well, that was,
Yeah.
for Hawkeye.
The Hawkeye, yeah.
Hawkeye Community
Aren't we
Theatre was at
spoiled?
Yeah, the
barn.
What was
barn.
the barn?
Yeah, it
Tell
was
us
a
about
barn.
that, Buzz.
It was a barn.
A
was a
barn.
barn.
Yeah.
There was two different barns. There was one out in the Chiker Edition, and then there was one out by the old New Idea plant.
I went
just
to a
on the
show
other
there.
side. Yeah, I did a show there. And there was a barn, a large barn, and you had a little stage, you had a little thing. It was hotter than the
It
was.
It was so hot.
It was, oh my God, you just sweated like pigs. We did a Born yesterday, and you had to be like in winter coats and heavy wool suits. And
Horrible.
You walked on, and there's this like, and I am a big sweater. So I walked out, and I was just pouring off me, just sheets of
I bet those
water.
costumes smelled
Oh my
amazing.
God, we stunk like pigs. But it was very interesting. It was an interesting place to do shows. My favorite place to do a show, we used to have the thing with Cassie Langstaff. Do you remember
I
Cassie?
do, yes. That's how I met you.
Yeah, that's right. And we did Arsenic and Old Lace at the Vincent House. That was the scariest thing I've ever done in my life because you were doing a show and you were doing it like this. When you were talking, this was the audience.
Wow.
And so, I'm sorry, I just went off on
No,
a tangent
that's
there.
great. That's great.
I'm older,
awesome.
though. This happened.
Yeah.
He's still traumatized by
So
the
let's
close
talk about
interaction.
how cool our venues are here in Fort Dodge.
Yes.
Before we move on, let's go to this. This barn, does this barn still exist?
No, it's
No,
gone now.
it's gone.
Been torn down.
All right.
Yep.
But it was an interesting place to do it. In the basement, in the first floor, because you did it in the loft.
Okay.
They had a old Packard sitting there.
Oh,
And
nice.
it was all covered up like a 36 Packard or something. I don't know. That has nothing to do with anything.
Right.
Oh my gosh, cool. Well, those old cars are cool until you realize that like you have to do like spark advancing and all
Yeah.
this other weird stuff on them. It's like this is not fun to drive.
It was an old one. It looked like a
But our venues here in town now
Yeah,
are super
so much
cool.
better.
I went to a couple barn shows when I was younger, and it was hot as balls in there.
Oh, just
It was
terrible.
So super hot, very humid, very tight seating, but the shows were awesome. But now we have the beautiful church here now
And we got this in 2000.
in 2000. So we're
So
like,
it's
it's been 24.
years.
It'll be 25
Wow.
years next year.
That's
that we
awesome.
did this. It
Yep.
was an old Christian Science church.
yep.
Okay.
And then
And this is Hawkeye Theater, by
Yes,
the way.
it's
Hawkeye
for
Theater.
those that
We're in Hawkeye
don't
Theater.
know or weren't listening,
and
or,
then
or
Phillips
whatever.
now, which we've had for just a few years.
Oh, Phillips, yeah.
Historic Phillips
Historic
Auditorium.
Phillips
We
Auditorium.
were the first show.
Yeah.
I recorded
Which-
a music video in there.
Yeah.
You did with Jesse Wilson, right?
Yes, I
which
did.
is
Oh,
which
wow.
is super cool. I mean, we have cool venues here in town.
Well, not only those, we have the middle school stage.
We have the middle school
for
stage.
Fort
We have
Dodge
the Iowa
Public Schools, which
Central.
is great for certain things. The Iowa Central stage, which is great for certain things.
Yep.
And then as far as live music goes, it's just endless.
There's so
Oh,
many
yeah.
places.
Yeah. I mean, as far as places with like a stage, there's not too many, but
True.
I'll tell you what, they'll clear the corner of a building out in a hurry in this
Sure.
town to play some live music.
They would-
Yeah.
I don't care if you're
You're
in a
right.
sit down restaurant or a bar or what
Right.
you're going to.
Yep.
Well, and the one amenity, I guess I'm going to say, with the auditorium style of Phillips is that we conserve alcohol.
Right.
Oh,
That is
yeah.
true.
So as far as bringing, an assortment of opportunities for the community, the Civic Center, any basic, like, long-standing venue that is hosting major events has alcohol served.
We have that
Just gonna
here
say.
at
We have
Hawkeye
that here too.
Community.
Yep.
Right,
We have
right,
the
right,
dinners.
right.
They're the
Yeah.
And we're thinking about a popcorn machine.
No, you're not.
So beat that.
Oh, no.
I mean,
I made that popcorn machine.
you know, it's one of those weird.
I made.
I'm just gonna mute the mic over here.
Yeah.
No, it is
Wouldn't
kind
be
of crazy though, like that double-edged sword of like not everybody drinks, but guess what? People who go out on at night sometimes like to have a drink or two,
Right.
and
Yeah.
to at least have the ability to offer that to people
Right.
might even be something that's a deciding factor as to whether or not somebody comes to watch.
Well, and honestly, you don't
for
make-
a casual
Experience.
yeah.
Honestly, you're not making your money back in ticket
God, no.
sales. Most of the time you get done with a theater production and people are like, oh God, what'd you make? Great friends.
great friends.
I made a lot
Yeah.
of experiences.
If you
Which
break
is how
even,
I
you did
met
really
all
well.
of these people too.
Right.
You do make lifelong connections, and this is why this group of people were picked for this first podcast.
This
Because
might be a sidebar, but what is the cure for breaking even? Is there a cure for that? I like to ask these
good one.
questions on the podcast because
One of the
sometimes
problems, I think, I know it's with Comedia also, it's just expensive to put shows on.
yeah.
You know, it's and it's very hard. I think we're more of a service to the community than we are a profit-making organization. I know in Hawkeye especially, it's a nice thing to have in your community to have the arts. And theater is one of the arts, and that's why we're here.
Yeah, it can cost us up to $40,000 to
Jeez.
produce a show.
It's not.
yeah,
It's not free.
it's
No.
not.
No,
No,
no.
I mean you have to buy
well, and
the
you're
rights.
not going to charge people $60 a ticket
Right.
to get in.
True.
Right.
Yeah.
And,
Right. I think our ticket prices are reasonable. So yeah, it's very expensive when you are building sets, when you're getting the licensing, when you're hiring people to do lights.
license.
We
I didn't
pay.
even think of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we pay our musicians. We pay our pit orchestra.
Right.
Not a lot. That most of them just do it because they're wonderful people.
But you also
Right.
have professional musicians that play in that
Absolutely.
foot too,
Yes.
which is
So,
what
Which are
needs
an
to
asset.
I'll
happen.
tell you
to
what
the
the key
community.
is to breaking
Yes.
even. It is grants.
Yeah.
So true.
It is to us, the Catherine Deardorff Foundation and the Ann Smeltzer Trust,
Yep.
without which we could not do what we do. They are amazing. We absolutely are so grateful for the support that they give us every year, because you're right. You can't recoup in ticket sales what it takes to put on a show of the kind we do.
Ditto. For
And
us,
you
I
might
mean,
think
same.
that, hey, we're going to do this show next year, but next year we're going to do a different show and we'll make up for it with that show.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it works. No, it's not how it works.
I mean, you never make it up in ticket sales. It's
That's
just,
true.
it's just,
It's impossible.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
We-
just the
we-
nature of the beast.
We don't charge, like, even if you go to Ames and you go to their little community theater is, they're like 15, 20 bucks. I can't know. We just went to one. But we only charge like $10 a ticket here. And Comedia is very reasonable in their price, too. I
Yeah.
mean, ridiculous.
For the kids show, it's $15 for an adult.
Yeah.
And there's no charge for costume. There's no charge to be registered. It's no expense generally to the
And
actors.
Des Moines Community Theater, it's like 35,
Yeah.
40 bucks for a musical. We just went to one not too long ago. They do a wonderful
They do a
job.
really good job.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
We do a pretty good job
Yes,
here.
we do.
You have to
job.
consider we have a smaller core that we can
Yeah.
draw from. So it's a little more difficult for us. They're a big town. And they charge a lot more.
Well, I will say also, like, you shouldn't like put Fort Dodge down. This town is like
Not at all.
weirdly packed with talent.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know exactly what's going on or what's
It's in the water.
It's in the water. There's a
We
lot
do
of stuff in the
very
water
well,
here.
considering we're not that big.
Yeah. I mean, music talented. Like,
Yeah.
I can't sing to save my life, honestly.
Prove it.
No. I might go out for a play, not a musical. No. But yes, I mean, like, I look at all you guys that are out here doing, like you said, memorizing lines, learning whole songs with lyrics, and I'm not a lyric person. I'm just one of those people that's just like, just like I'm like mumbling through songs 'cause I don't know what any of the words are, But this is mind blowing. I can't believe that. Like, this is actually my first time in this theater, believe it or
really?
not. Yeah, I'd never been in
It's
here
kind
before.
of neat, isn't it?
It's very neat. It's
cool.
We're very proud of this.
I would be too.
Yeah.
It's quaint but big. At the same, somehow it's like, you can fit a lot of people in here.
Yep.
You got an upper deck, you got a balcony back there. That's cool.
Best seats.
It is. It's,
The best seats.
oh
Yeah.
man, yeah. I love the fact that this town, like you said, it's not a lot of people to draw from.
No.
but the talent is still here.
Oh,
Yeah.
We get by.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's through the generations too. I mean, there's people young and old and everywhere in between helping put all this on.
Both of you at least have kids that have been
Yeah.
through the
That's
theater
true.
world
Oh.
in Fort Dodge as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And people say like that they don't have time to be in a show. Well, Larry Mitchell and I will tell you that the busiest people are the people that make time to be in these shows.
Right.
I remember bringing my kids to rehearsals with me. I mean, there's no excuses. They sat on a blanket and ate their Happy Meals while I rehearsed with Comedia, when they were 3 years old.
Everyone's done
You bring a Happy Meal and some Play-Doh and your kids are good for about an hour.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, and then as they got older, they started to appear in the shows with me, which was very fun.
Do you think exposing younger kids to this type of stuff is one of the things that kind of helps perpetuate it through the years?
Are you kidding?
Am I kidding? I don't know. That's why I asked the
Absolutely.
question.
Children
That's a good
love
question.
live
You
theater.
got to softball some into them. Come on.
Yeah.
Children love live theater. There's nothing. You take a kid to a play or a musical, they're fascinated. They see adults up there pretending to be something, and it impresses children a lot. I mean,
It's right in their wheelhouse. Pretending.
it's perfect.
Exactly.
And this will shock many people, but I was too shy to audition for anything really until my senior year of high school. And when I did, I had a role in the musical and a role in the fall play. But I was just too shy and introverted to even consider putting myself out there. Had there been an organization like Stage Door when I was a child, that would not have been the case.
It builds confidence for students to be on the stage and work through a production. It builds okay, I can do this. Just peer involvement and learning how to regurgitate information as far as different classwork goes. I mean, the science is unending when it comes to what are the benefits of the arts in a community. And I actually read an article this morning about a nursing school. I'm not going to give specifics because I'll screw it up. Buzz, you could say it confidently, but I can't.
I can make it up for you if you want.
The school in
Dubuque, I believe.
Okay. Not true. But their nursing program has added some art and music therapy to their programming because it helps with empathy, emotions.
But you are right, Shelly. I mean, and children are just
Sponges.
they just love it. They
do.
I took when I was performing, and I took my son to it. And I took him down to see Les Mis when he was probably 8 or 9 years old. He was absolutely fascinated because they have the little kid up there, he's singing.
Yeah.
And he just thought, how do they do that, Dad? I said, I don't know. It's like a miracle. These people are like geniuses.
Yeah, aliens. Yeah. Well, and I'm going to brag for a second about my nephew.
Oh, yes.
Ben Allers, who grew up in Fort Dodge and experienced Hawkeye, experienced Stage Door, experienced
Got his signature
Comedia.
back here on one of these.
Does he? You should sell that chunk
I'm
of the
going.
wall.
I'm cutting it out.
Yeah.
And now he's reoccurring on various HBO specials and doing a one-man show about John Wilkes Booth and Baltimore, which we know how that ends. But anyway.
No, what happened?
Yeah.
What?
Historian Shelly is not here today. But he will never negate the opportunities that he had growing up, not only with his mom being involved in the arts in Fort Dodge also, but, his base was formed here, and he's really, really proud of that. And I appreciate him taking that to the East Coast.
Sounds like we might have some visitors in here.
Well, we're going to tell them to shut up.
That's my wife and one of my cast members.
Hi, Ann.
Oh,
Never
nice.
mind.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Ann.
There you go.
So
Hello, Rex.
before we run out of time, though, Pete,
Yeah, because we are getting close. We're
yeah,
gonna
we
last
need
like
to
15 minutes.
make sure we
Oh,
talk about the
15.
shows
Yes.
that Amy and Buzz are here to promote.
All right, so
take charge.
let's see what we got going on here. We got some shows coming up, right?
We're here at beautiful Hawkeye Community Theatre, and in October 9th through the 12th, with 2 shows on the 12th, one at 2 and 7, and all the other shows at 7 o'clock. We're doing The Games Afoot, which is a murder mystery comedy. It's a wonderful show. The dialogue's very clever. It's absolutely hilarious, and our cast is doing a wonderful job in it. The director is a genius.
Buzz is the director.
I've never worked for a man that is so in tuned with everything.
Oh my gosh.
Disgusting.
That
It's
will be
actually
October 9th
So true.
Yep.
through the 12th.
October 9th through the 12th. And you said there was 2 times on the first day?
No, on the 12th, there's a matinee at 2 o'clock and a show at 7. All the other shows are at 7 o'clock.
Perfect.
How
All
many
right.
how many people are in this show? And why should they come see it?
Because it's a wonderful show. And
It's a great show.
and I
It's very
love it.
entertaining.
There's how many are there in the show?
Oh, there we go. Good thing she's here.
It looks like 8. There's 8
Possibly
people in the
8.
show.
Fingers. I'm like,
And
It looks
5
like
Yes, I
women
believe
and
it's
3
8.
men. 5
5
Cards,
women
we can't
and
see.
3 men.
There you
She's-
go.
All of them very, very good.
Very talented.
She said steal third, actually.
Still I couldn't get the signal exact. I thought that was a bunt sign.
If you can't tell, you should go because it's going to be entertaining.
It's going to be
It is
entertaining.
very entertaining. It's got some of the best. We read it. My wife Ann and I read it, and I thought this has the best dialogue I've read in a comedy in many, many years.
There you go.
It's a wonderful show.
And a beautiful venue.
And a lovely,
Beautiful venue.
historic Hawkeye Community Theatre
Yes.
That may or may not be haunted.
that
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
is
we're
not
gonna
haunted.
talk about that, but whatever.
If you're looking for any more information on those show dates, I'll put it in the description. We'll put a link down there somewhere, at least if nothing else, to
Thank you.
to the Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association's calendar, so you guys can check it out and see what's going on.
Great.
We have another show coming up.
we do. So we are in the throes of rehearsal for Comedia Musica Players production of Irving Berlin's Holiday Inn. And this is a musical. It is based on, I believe, the 1942 movie. Is that right, Buzz?
I wasn't born then.
He wasn't
but,
bored yet. So
but it
close.
sounds about right to me.
So close.
So,
Very, very
yeah.
close. I think I was a young man.
So, of course, Bing Crosby, Fred
I
Astaire,
was fighting in the war then, if I'm not mistaken.
Shut up, Buzz.
star in Holiday Inn, the movie. The story follows Jim. He's a show business guy. He's going to leave the bright lights in the big city and settle down on a farmhouse in Connecticut. but he kind of misses that life a little bit. So he meets a school teacher, a very spirited school teacher named Linda. And together, Jim and Linda kind of make the farmhouse an inn, and they are going to have performances celebrating each of the holidays. So Jim writes the music, and he and Linda are going to perform these acts on holidays at their farmhouse inn.
That's where
henceforth.
Holiday Inn comes
Holiday
from.
Inn comes
Holiday
into
Inn.
play.
And
So,
then they did have Holiday Inns after that, and they had other ones called Ramada Inns.
right, exactly.
Right.
So Jim is played by Jacob Shelton, Linda by Brittany Thomas Arthur, and in of course there's always a side story, right? So Ted, played by Nathan Shelley, and Lila, played by Allison Swanson, they are off doing a tour without Jim. So Jim and Lila are love interests, but he starts to have some feelings for Linda. Of course. So
Sparks ensue.
sparks ensue.
If
So
there's
eventually, hilarity ensues. So eventually, of course, Ted and Lila arrive on the scene, and I won't spoil the show any further from there. But the cast is doing an amazing, phenomenal job. We have the most amazing creative team. Dan Cassidy, music director, Emily Eastwood, choreographer, Alyssa Sparks is directing, and then of course we have the lovely Shelly as our rehearsal accompanist. So it will be an amazing show, and everybody will be so familiar with the songs like Blue Skies and White Christmas, and so it's fun to bring back some of the oldies but goodies and maybe get some of that audience back that we haven't seen in a few years, that maybe really prefers those timeless classics.
Standards. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Stage Door. What's going on at Stage Door?
We are preparing for a cabaret show at the Smelter House.
When's that going to be?
In January.
Okay, so we got a little while.
Yeah.
Get your tickets now, though.
They're not even for sale.
Well-
but mark January, just block the whole month off.
Mid-January.
And
it.
we have an array of performers from age 6 through 7 that will be performing. And we generally have 12 people. And we use this experience to educate the community on theater that we maybe wouldn't bring to the stage. Maybe Fort Dodge isn't quite ready for it, or we don't have the people for it. But we are not afraid to be risque.
I like it.
In our cabaret.
Oh, that right. There we go. All right.
That wasn't even prepared.
I
And with
say.
their ticket sales, they get wine, water, beer.
And heavy hors
And then
d'oeuvres.
heavy hors d'oeuvres.
Heavy hors d'oeuvres.
And then we are also preparing for our summer 2025 musical of Moana.
which is super
Can you?
cool.
So fun.
You must be familiar with Moana.
I've heard of it, yes.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking this is crazy. You guys plan these out this far in advance, but you almost kind of have to.
We have
Like,
to.
You can't just be like, all right, next month we're doing this. Everybody, let's go.
And we also want to make sure that each of us know what we're doing,
Right.
so we're not like
Don't want to step on toes.
stepping on toes,
Bingo.
and that's part of the Fort Dodge Fine Arts mission, is to help keep that community calendar solid so that we can keep from doing that.
Yeah. Absolutely. So,
yeah.
if you learned anything, it's there's a lot of plays in Fort Dodge and plan ahead. No.
Yeah.
Dude, all I have to say is this has been a hoot so far, just sitting here talking with you guys. I'm kind of upset that we only have a few minutes left in here.
I gotta hear a funniest moment from us.
That's I was gonna say that's on the dossier, and I think
The funniest moments.
that needs to be asked of everybody that comes on this podcast. Funniest onstage moments. Start thinking, because it's gonna be good. Remember, this isn't PG, but
Most of the ones
It's
I
not
could not
PG.
tell.
Most of us are drinking alcohol, so this is not.
there's no FCC regulations
No.
here though, so do your worst, I guess.
Okay.
We'll start with
I mean, from my own experience as an accompanist, I just am going to say quickly that I always have to be ready for the oh shit moments.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
who forgot their words?
Right.
Who skipped a whole scene? Who
Half a song.
Yeah, like who has a song here and just. And get and help to cover their mistakes, and that's, I feel like, somewhat of my strength and why I'm able to keep doing, why people keep hiring me to play. But I just enjoy helping to fill in the gaps for the oh shit moments for the performers.
I feel like that'd be one of the tougher things to do, is the accompaniment, because you're just like, you have to play the music and just hope that the words are coming.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and the other instrumentalists don't have the words. So I at least have the words. And then the horns player's like, well, I don't know where they are.
Oh, no.
And, yeah, so
and then you'll hear Dan will yell, measure 67!
Yeah, it can be chaos.
And the guy singing is going, I don't know what that is.
I memorized this. I didn't memorize the measured numbers.
So anyway, those are my moments. Jason, you've probably...
I don't have as much experience as everyone else here, but the show that we did that nobody saw, title of show, nobody saw it. It was really
so good.
It was so good.
You
Everybody should have
guys
seen
missed
it.
out.
They saw it. There's
We'll bring it back.
The song where we're like, and this was in the show, so I can say it up here. Take off your fucking shirts. That was us.
That was a lyric.
That was a lyric. There was only 4 of us, and the guy and I took off my shirt to sing a song, and I was telling the 2 girls and the Nate on stage to do that, and that's just what I remember. That was fun, and there were like 12 people out here, so
That whole show is funny.
it was funny, and so everyone should come to every show. That's the
Yes.
baseline of this. Everyone should come to every show.
Or you might
because
cry.
they're all good. Even if they have a weird title or a weird synopsis, everyone should come to every show.
Or else.
Is that every night of every show or just
Yeah.
No, just one time. We'll take one time.
One performance
One
is
time
fine.
would be fine.
Yeah. Well, most of my funny moments have to do with Buzz. I mean, I've been in
Oh, wow.
I don't even know how many
quite
shows
a
with
few.
Buzz, and the guy just cracks me up. I mean, it's usually like when we're backstage and
Well
just
done.
waiting to go
Yeah.
on stage. Those are the best moments ever. I remember
And he makes up his own lines.
so funny.
Occasionally.
I remember. I think it was. I don't know why you were wearing a trench coat, but it was an earlier show. It was like State Fair, pajama game. Like I don't know what it was, but Buzz had on a trench coat, and every opportunity he had between me and him backstage, he was flinging that trench coat
So did
open.
he have something underneath the
He
trench
did,
coat?
thankfully,
Okay, all right,
always
good. That's
have
good.
something on underneath.
Quite a bit, actually.
Great
But-
clarity.
Quite a bit.
But this is like a core memory. Like before you die, your memories flash before your eyes. You flashing me in a trench coat will probably be one of them. And then Young Frankenstein. Oh my gosh, yeah, Anne and Buzz and Jordan LeClaire and oh my gosh, Joe Suter, Alyssa Sparks, Sean O'Connor. Funnest show I've ever done in my
wonderful
life.
show.
It was hysterical. And there was this huge table for Frankenstein, the monster. And, Mike Shootman's just a brilliant set designer. And he had these 2 large tables, and he had made these little clasps to lock the tables together. Well, Jordan and I lay on the tables and fool around under a sheet, and someone forgot to lock the tables.
Oh.
So here's Jordan and I moving around, and then 1 second later, I am on the floor. Huge,
the
table, bro.
huge thud, and that was my body.
Cool.
So I had to like sneak back up under the sheet, back onto this table, and try to hold them together. That was terrible, but I'll never forget that moment either.
My favorite one, and it didn't even happen to me, but I was there when it happened. And it was a Comedia show, and it was Camelot. And we're standing on,
I know this story.
we were standing on the side, and Heidi Nelson, who's in this show with us, in The Game's Afoot, and we're standing, they have like these long gowns, it's King Arthur stuff. And we're waiting to walk out. We're marching out at the beginning of Act 2, and she's on the sideline, and I'm sorry, and the scrim starts going up, and the scrims are like a screen that has a big pole, a big metal pole that holds it down, and it was sticking out, and it catches on her skirt. Like this. I'm standing with Lori Cassidy right next to it. Well, I look over, and the skirt's just going up like this. And I'm looking, and I'm thinking, I should probably do something, but I'm laughing too hard, so I can't do anything. And the people on the other side are looking, and they're going, and she's going, it gets clear up like this, and I think, oh my God, she's going to go turn upside down. I turn upside down and fly up into the air, and it just rips through a thing, and it goes boing. It was the funniest thing
Yeah.
I'd ever seen on stage.
Yeah, most mishaps have to do with set
Set-
or screen issues. Yeah, for
You know,
sure.
what I'm hearing here is almost like the mistakes are the funniest part.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's
That's the funniest thing about live theater, because you could go to one show and you'll see something that's weird,
Completely
and then the
different.
next show is weird. It's live, so every time
Anything can
it's
happen.
new.
It's like Byron's.
yeah. Live music only happens once.
Live
Yeah,
theater
and
only
that's
happens
right.
once.
It's always new every time, no matter how many times you've done it. It's new every time.
Yeah.
Every director of every high school show tells them the night before opening night, don't screw this up. Don't do something we're not prepared for. And honestly, the best mistakes are the stuff you're not prepared for.
Oh yeah, it's the best stuff to laugh about. I mean, I could say playing live music. When I used to like make a mistake or play a wrong note, it was like, all right, I want to climb under a rock. I want to just
Right.
get in my car and drive away now.
Just keep going.
Leave all my
You just
gear
keep
here and
going.
just go away. But exactly like you said, you just keep going with the song because you have to
It'll
keep
be
going,
fine.
and you just laugh through it. And it's funny to you guys on stage, and maybe the people in the crowd didn't even hear it. And they don't even know there was a mistake, and they're just like, oh, they're having fun up there, you know.
Unless they're throwing up during the show. But we don't have to get into that.
No, I hate to say this, but my cast is here, and they're going to be upset if I don't start rehearsal pretty soon.
All right. Well, we have.
There's how many did you say were in it?
There's other people out
Oh,
there.
okay. Okay.
All right.
All right, Buzz.
All right, so we've
I
got
didn't make this up.
We've got a hard out time today. I do want to say
Yep.
thank you to each of you guys
Yes.
for sitting down talking with us. It's very nice to meet each and every one of you guys. I hope to get out to a play now sometime.
Please
or a
do.
musical.
Let's do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I haven't been to one in town here, so
Shame on you.
this podcast is all about honesty,
I'm
people.
not-
We'll do one a year from now.
I'm not talking
and we
to him
can
anymore.
recap
Oh, there we go. Yes.
when you've been to one.
I've had it.
He's
with
like,
this.
shut up. For a
I've had it.
second.
Well, I can't sit here with this.
I told you it was like herding cats.
Oh my gosh. Well, this was FDT
FDT.
The
episode.
thoughtful exchange of the arts.
Yes, episode number 1. So
one. We're
I
gonna
want
do
to say
many.
thank you guys for sitting down and talking with
thank
us.
you.
Thank you for having us.
If you
Thank
guys are
you.
looking for anything, scroll into the descriptions, click the links.
For sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.